of the paper, but talking about the crisis in the north, you see this picture here, and it's talking about displaced people, displaced students of Taraba State from Federal Polytechnic and Adamawa State University, both in Mubi, waiting evacuation to Taraba from the Adamawa NYC orientation camp, and some children and other displaced persons at the Bajabure camp. That's another story. The pictures tell a story by themselves. Fashola justifies 160 billion naira Lagos debt. It's on page 10 of the paper. Coming to the bottom, federal government insists on September 22 resumption date for schools. They also have that story here. And yeah, Mr. and Mrs. and favorite columnists are also here as well. That will be all for the Vanguard.
Oh, interesting. What a paper. Don't forget Mr. and Mrs.
Mr. and Mrs., of course.
Nigerian Tribune is the next one. Okay, there you have it already. New polling units. South demands Jega's resignation. I will go if... Then it's ascribed to Jega himself. The story is on page 2 of the paper here today. So you just as well go ahead and check that out if you will. And then look at this. Local hunters kill 75 Boko Haram members. This is on page 4, maybe a follow-up. Remember that image which we saw in Borno, how retired soldiers, local hunters said, no, we will stand our ground here and now, henceforth perhaps. And then you see this headline. It's on page 4 of the Tribune today. Again, you also see this. FG insists on September 22 school resumption date. You find it on page 3 of the paper here today. FRSC calls for full investigation of Igwe's death. Well, this is a page 11 story, and the police have said they had ordered full investigation. The FRSC also saying one hopes that this results of all this investigation will come up in good time.
It will be a joint investigation, hopefully, and they won't be working at cross purposes, hopefully.
Yeah, you never know. Jonathan orders removal of Bring Back Jonathan signs banners. APC commends him. It's deceitful, Ezekwesili. Well, the story is on page 15 of the paper here today. And then they've got some business stories as well. Nigeria to lose $3.28 billion from crude oil sale. Why? Go to page 13. That's where the story is. And that's it with Tribune today.
We have the front page of this day here. They have this story here. Maiduguri is surrounded by Boko Haram. Borno Elders Forum cries out. That's what they have on their front page. The riders, local hunters kill 75 sect members. Emir of Mubi denies fleeing. NSA orders security agencies to keep digital database on terrorists. You find details on page 6 of the paper. All active Ebola cases discharged. Schools resumption remains September 22. Gates Foundation commits $50 million to fight virus. Also on page 6. 3 million jobs to be created as Jonathan inaugurates board. It's just on top of the nameplate. It also continues on page 6. Suntai, Taraba Exco directs assembly to set up medical panel for his removal. So we're still managing to stay in the headlines or stay in the news, as it were. This one is on page 8. That will be all for this day.
Okay, well, we also have Daily Trust here. 161 pro-Jonathan billboards in Abuja. President orders bring back good luck signs removed. Well, that's the lead story here, and the story continues on page 5 of the paper here today.
It went round doing a count.
Yeah, so, and then you also find this no sectional agenda on new polling units, JAGA, which it features in some other papers there today. Taraba government seeks medical panel on Suntai Health, also featuring here. Well, there you go, amongst several other stories and headlines on the front page of the Daily Trust today. That ends our look at some of the front pages this morning. We'll be back after the break. Join us again. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily World. Today we'll talk security again. Of course, if you've been keeping tabs on the headlines, something's going on. But let's see if we could get this comment from the Inspector General of Police. Newsmen caught up with him after he had that briefing, and then they did ask him about that attack on the police mobile unit and what happens, all his men accounted for. Here is how he responded. All right, can't get that. Well, joined now by Mr. Mikey Joffa, who is a former director with the DSS. Used to be SSS those days when you were there. Thank you for coming on this morning. Well, looking at all of this, I mean, if you listened, I hope we'll get it before long. But the way it is now, of course, it raises concern when you hear security. And one of the papers this morning talking about Borno being surrounded. Are we progressing, and how would you assess our performance now so far?
Well, I think security generally in the country is posing a challenge, especially in the issue of insurgency. But if you also recall that the issue of terrorism is not peculiar to Nigeria. You look at ISIS, you look at Somalia, it's generally all over the world. So. But why it's worrisome is that in our own situation, we've not, this has not been part of our culture. That's why everybody is worried. And like you said, newspaper reports and what is going on in Borno, people raising alarm. Yes, they have every reason to raise alarm. But if you also recall that one of the papers this morning also reported that some of the issues raised were unfounded. Like the Emir of Mubi, for instance, that he flew to wherever, and the emirate has also